Somewhere along the way, we lost the plot. Somewhere along the way, we got it in our heads that we're men and we are in charge and we are important and everyone else needs to serve us or something. And it's us versus them. You can't win a relationship because that means that someone else is losing. And if your partner or your spouse is losing, well then your relationship is losing. Like you either are both winning or you're both losing.
Yeah.
And there is no I'm gonna do great, I'm gonna get what I want and what I need out of this relationship. But you like who cares what you get? That's never gonna work. That's never gonna work.
Hello, welcome. I really enjoy your content a lot. You're putting yourself out there, you're authentic, you're just being yourself. And I love so much how you are approaching like life in general, love and relationships. You are very authentic. I really want people to open up to more possibilities to follow their heart, their passion, to put themselves out there in a day and age on social media that basically like you have the tool for it in your pocket.
So I never set out to be a content creator. I was never trying to be a content creator. I am an artist and I made an account to share art. So my
Mhm.
name online is Doug Weaver Art. And I think a lot of people are surprised when they find out that I actually do make art. But that's not really the content that I'm making most of the time. So I made a TikTok account and I started telling stories. I would tell a lot of stories about our time in Rwanda in the Peace Corps. My wife and I were both Peace Corps volunteers and just talking about our relationships. And then I told a story about my mom and how she raised me. And I have two older brothers and how she was very intentional in the way that she raised us and how she talked to us about women and essentially preparing us to be adults, to be husbands and to be the best contributors to our family as possible. And that video went very viral. And then that's how I kind of got into this space of content creation, talking about relationships, talking about what it means to be a man, what it doesn't mean to be a man. And it just kind of took off from there. And I've just kept making this content.
It's interesting what you just mentioned about your mom because like it sounds like I don't know this viral video. I'll check it out right after the podcast. I know so many of your videos and I find them so interesting because you are like you're talking about relationships, about yourself, about summoning demons. Like you have a wide range. And I've never seen the video about your mom, and I think that's interesting because I start coming across videos where people do talk about women, especially about their husbands who have a great relationship to their mom. And all these guys seem to be awesome. Can you elaborate a little bit more on your experience?
Well, my mom, she actually made like curriculum and she called it Husbands in Training. And we had like, it started out very informal. Sometimes it got more formal. Sometimes she would actually give us quizzes and things. But she was a stay-at-home mom. And while we were at school, she would do a lot of research, the best research she could on how to raise a husband and a father. And not everything that she taught us was spot on, but it was also doing the best she could with what information was available in the 90s.
Hmm.
I feel like the idea of like men breaking away from these very strict gender roles of what it means to be a man wasn't really as prominent in the conversation in the 90s as it is now. It feels more prominent now, but it also could just be that I'm in those circles more. So I hear a lot more of that conversation now.
Many things for me were also kind of obvious, or I was just raised this way, and nothing has ever been a huge problem. And now that I'm online, I see so many problems. I'm like, oh my God, this is a problem, and that is a problem, and this is a huge hot topic right now, and people are fighting over that too. Oh my God, like, okay, let's look at this. I mean, it's very entertaining and certainly interesting, and I haven't expected that there are so many problems around this relationship topic, or that there is so much trauma in it, but it actually makes sense if you look at the world right now.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was always my own person. I mean, I was always an artist and I sang in choir and I did theater. And so I was always in the arts. And growing up as a young man in the arts, you have a lot of people state their opinions about you.
Mm-hmm.
People will tell you that you are less of a man because of dancing. because you will get on a stage and dance, and people will tell you you're less of a man just because, you sing songs. It's really just like these things that, to me, I think they're the things that make us human: singing, dancing, art, expressing yourself. I feel like those are just like intrinsically human things. These are things that people just love. People love music, but for some reason, when you, as a young person, are really engaging in those activities, people are like, this doesn't seem very man-like. That for some reason they seem less manly, and that never made any sense to me. So I've been like, since I was very young, hearing people constantly talk about like, is this activity a manly enough activity for a young man to do? And just kind of being like, that's kind of dumb. I just feel like that whole concept is dumb. It doesn't make any sense, and it just makes life less pleasant.
Yeah, and it's also a cultural thing. I wasn't even that aware of it because I'm originally from Ukraine. I was raised in Germany though, so I'm officially German. Now I live in the US. However, so I was born in Ukraine and I come from a family of artists. Means my mom, my dad is a pianist, my mom's a piano teacher, and I have male ballet dancers in my family too. So I was primed with this, and also in the Slavic countries, being an artist is way more honorable, I think, than in the West. It's actually like it comes with a higher status and more re for reward if you are in the arts. So nobody's actually giving these men looks, you know. So it's kind of a normal thing that they're doing these things, and they're also manly and they have super gorgeous wives and like everything's cool. And yeah, and now I'm in the US and everyone's like, oh, you can't date American women. Go date Slavic women. But you know, all the Slavic women are there married to ballet dancers and artists. So, I mean, not all of them, but it's like,
But yeah, yeah.
so it's kind of funny to hear how it's a big deal in the West to be an artist.
And I think something that I've realized now is that like now I'm really enjoy working on cars. I rebuilt my motorcycle this year. I really like construction. I've built a lot of things in my house. I'm actually fairly good carpenter because all of my skills that I use as an artist transfer directly into carpentry. So I'm actually a pretty decent builder. But it's one of those things that I didn't realize that I liked when I was younger, because a lot of the culture around cars is that like, I'm a manly man. I get my hands dirty. I'm a real man and I work hard. And I never really resonated with that side of car culture. But when it comes to actually working on cars and fixing them, I enjoy that. I think that's really fun. It's just that it's weird that there has to be this culture surrounding activities or a gendered ideology surrounding activities, that like working on cars has nothing to do with being a man. It has nothing to do with being masculine or manly. But for some reason, that activity is seen as this is a man's activity.
Why did we start doing that? Like, why did we even come up with these gender roles related activities?
I don't know. It seems weird
Uh,
because you have like older messaging of like old wartime messaging of like Rosie the Riveter, that like these strong, powerful women who do machinery,
right.
that do machine fabrication, and like that was really cool like 70 years ago or even 50 years ago. Like that you have that, like, because you have the same thing with like women in these more traditionally male roles, having that like this isn't ladylike.
Right.
That I don't know. We grew up with this culture of like things need to either be manly or ladylike, and every activity has to be like put into one of these categories. And it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why. I don't know why we started doing that. I think some of it has to do with just like, I think some of it might be that as women started fighting for more rights, fighting for space in the workplace. I think during wartime in the US, a lot of women entered the workforce while men were not there, while men were overseas. And I think a lot of women entered the workforce and then they're like, we kind of like this.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of fun to build things and to work with your hands in these more traditionally male masculine ways. And so you have this, I think there was this a lot of pushback against this movement of like women wanting to engage in these traditionally male fields, that I think men can be very fragile. Men can be like, oh no, The women are discovering that they can fix things. The women are discovering that they can build vehicles. The women are
Hmm.
discovering that they can work in factories and innovate. And I think there is this like men feeling like, well, if we don't own those fields, then what are we? That's the
Hmm.
only value we bring. And if we no longer, if women can do that for themselves, what value do men have? And so I think there's this pushback to say like, no, women shouldn't be in these fields. Like this is what makes a man valuable and what makes a man a man. And so it needs to be men doing, I
That's
think.
interesting. And on the other hand, we would also have so many activities that are traditionally feminine, but men seem to be very good at them. Like my mom used to say a lot, like, the best hairdressers are men, or like men are great cooks. Like you can't really put a finger on it if it's better if it's a man or a woman, actually. Like it depends on whether you're talented or not. So I on the other hand, these fields of female kind of activities and jobs are also opening up to men. So men can just walk around with their baby in their arm and nobody is, or I hope nobody is really judging them for it anymore. So like if you don't have to stick to these manly jobs and if you don't have to attach your value to them, like is it not like a way to see that you can also open yourself up to the things that we consider more feminine?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's where, like, for our son's first 3 years of his life, I was stay-at-home dad. I did still teach. I taught like one week, 1 day a week. I would go in and teach at the college down the street. And that was mostly just to like still have I am working on my resume. But for the most part, I was just a stay-at-home dad for the first 3 years of his life. It was fantastic. I loved those years. And Kirsten, my wife, she's like, no, I wouldn't enjoy that. That like she was not interested in being a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to go back to work. And so it really worked out for us. I loved those years. I loved hanging out with my baby boy, and I did a lot of cooking, and I love to bake, and I really like baking pizza. But yeah, I think you do have a lot where there's a lot of enriching and wonderful things that are traditionally done by women that men really enjoy. And I think something I've seen is like a lot of younger men. I think while I was teaching at the community college, some of the last years that I taught there, it was mostly Gen Z. A lot of men in Generation Z enjoy things like knitting and crocheting and handicrafts and some of those just like
Cool.
more slowed down activities and hands-on activities and cross stitch and all of those things. And I like seeing that those are very calming and grounding activities. And I think we've moved away from that as a society in general, not just for men, I think in general. But I think one of the things that we see with men's mental health, there's a lot of conversation about men's mental health, that men are very depressed, men are very lonely, men are very just sad.
Yeah.
And that a lot of men, like suicide rates for men are really high. And I think part of that conversation is that we've moved completely away from the activities that are really centering and are really grounding and are really comforting and slowing down. And sometimes that looks like knitting. And like women have never had the same loneliness that men have, but they've done things like quilts, get together and everyone makes quilts together. And I think those activities have always made these communal spaces for women, and men really struggle to make communal space where everyone's doing an activity together and also engaging each other and talking to each other and getting to know each other and having meaningful relationships with each other. I think that's a space that is really lacking.
Yeah, I love that you brought this up because it's like, or in general, I feel people don't really pursue too many hobbies right now. Everyone's on the internet, and not too many people are getting together to actually pursue one and the same activity and bond over it. So I love that you're bringing this up because I read it a lot also in my comments that men would say, I don't need anyone. I have a dog and that's okay. And it's like, yeah, of course that's okay, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't connect with other people. And we also forget how to bond and create relationships outside of romantic relationships. I mean, just talk to people over something you're interested in.
Yeah, well, and when you think about like solitude is a punishment. and has always been a punishment. Like solitary confinement has always been a punishment that you did something bad, you have to be alone in a room. And now it's like choosing to be alone in a room and just always be like having that solitude, having that punishment just as your standard life. That's very sad. I think that's what it comes down to. I feel like I have a lot of people who judge me for the statements that I make and the way that I live my life and the way that I talk about masculinity and talk about relationship. I get a lot of judgment for that. But when you get down to the roots of where that judgment is coming from, it's mostly coming from a lot of sad people who don't know how to connect, who feel very alone, who are trying to be some version of what they think a man should be because they feel like they won't be as alone if they achieve manhood. If they
Mm.
achieve the correct manliness, then they'll be cool. Then they'll be popular. And I think when they see someone who is very well connected and is building community and thriving while completely rejecting all of their ideas of manliness, I think they don't know what to do with that. I think they're like, wait, am I trying really hard to be something that isn't going to make me feel better, that isn't going to improve my life? And so then I think they sit in that sadness a little bit more. And men don't always know how to be sad and reflect and think, maybe I should change the way I'm approaching my life to improve my life. I think often the approach is like, this makes me uncomfortable. This doesn't fit with what I believe, with my ideologies. So I'm going to lash out at you instead of reflecting on how I'm going through life.
I love the term correct manliness. That makes a lot of sense. Like people have these scripts, these ideas of like what is correct manliness, but the question or my question to these people would be if none of it works, if it doesn't make you happy, if you don't have good people around you, if you're not in a fulfilling relationship, then what does it matter if you're manly in the correct way? I mean, who cares?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of money that people can make by perpetuating those ideas. I think that's something that one of the reasons I keep making videos in these spaces is that there's a lot of noise and there are a lot of these men's podcasts and dating coaches and life advice people that are like, I'm going to teach you how to be more of a man in 12 easy steps. And you can subscribe to get the next level information that you're gonna be sleeping with 1,000 women a week and everyone's gonna love you and you'll have a Lamborghini by the end of the year. All of that kind of stuff. People buy it. People, they make a lot of money making those videos. And it comes down to like, it's similar to like if you just pretend you could grind sugar into a powder and say I invented this brand new thing. You can eat as much of it as you want and you'll be instantly healthy and skinny. And people would be like, "Oh, something easy and quick that can get me to whatever goal I want. Perfect. I'll take it." But it's like it's trying to give an easy solution to a complex problem when there actually, in this case, is an easy solution, which is to be yourself. But I think it's a lot harder to sell the idea of like, if you could just learn to really be yourself and not care what people think about you, you'll be happier. But that's like the obvious answer, but no one wants to buy that because it's the obvious answer and it's hard because it requires growth and reflection. People want something that like is flashy, something that is exciting. And being yourself is not exciting. Learning to be someone else that's cooler than what you think you are, that seems more exciting. And so people can make a lot of money doing that, which means that there's just a lot of bad information always being shared.
What would you tell a man who talks back and says, well, what if the version of myself isn't that cool? What if my true self is someone who doesn't take showers and just lays in bed all day?
Well, I think that's where it's like if your true self, being who you are happiest for yourself. I think that's what your true self is. How do you become happy irregardless of what other people are doing? If you are really happy, never bathing, and like if that makes you happy, that might that might be a time that you should talk to a professional. But like ideally, most of us want to be healthy, and we know that bathing is not healthy. Not bathing is not healthy. Bathing is healthy. Um,
I will
most
put this out as a clip. No.
most of us want to be healthy. We
Yeah.
want to eat well. We want to be active. Those are things that most of us want to do. It's not easy to do those things. It's not easy to be your healthiest self, but I think your focus should be on becoming healthier, mentally healthier, emotionally healthier, physically healthier. It's never not cool to be healthy. Being the healthiest version of yourself is always cool.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how these coaches will use this idea that you just mentioned, like be healthy, and exaggerate it into you need 1,000 muscles just in your arms, and wear tank tops to impress women.
Right, but to the extent that it isn't healthy,
Right.
actually. I feel like it's just finding that balance of like being healthy in as many ways as possible. I think there's an older Greek ideal that you have I'm not this is okay, I shouldn't just throw out a culture. I'm thinking about during the Renaissance, there was this idea of the three aspects of humanity, which is like your physical body, your spirit, and your intellect, are essentially those three things. That like you don't want one of them to be so prominent that it overtakes the other two. So that kind of like working out is fantastic. There's an extent to where it is healthy. There is an extreme to where it is no longer healthy. And I think absolutely getting your body healthy is fantastic, but that shouldn't be overtaking your mental health and that shouldn't be overtaking your, I'm going to say spiritual health, but what I mean is just like your emotional health more so, like your connectedness, how connected you are to the world around you, to the earth, to, I don't know. Does that make sense?
It makes a
How
lot of
connected you
sense.
are.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Are you a coach, by the way? Are you coaching?
No.
Okay, maybe you should. Maybe it sounds awesome. Yeah, because that's what I do with people. Like I let them make a list of all areas of life that are important to them. Because we don't live in just a vacuum where we are just working out and that's that. But we also have like family or friends or relationships we want to build or hobbies or our job, like financials. Like there are so many things that are relevant and none of them can just like leave. We can't just drop one of these areas of life. Plus, there might be things that are important personally. And it all comes back to balance. Like also like your happiness will also depend on whether you're able to maintain balance within these practical areas of life. That's why like I totally love the example that you just brought up because there's definitely this understanding of physical health and there's mental health, like how well do you feel in your physical body, and connectivity is an awesome example because it's like what's your relationship to yourself in comparison to your environment? Like, where do you stand in your environment? Like, what's your relationship with your outer world?
Yeah. And I think that is sometimes the hardest thing to figure out is how do I connect with the world around me? How do I fit into this world around me? Because I think often men are like programmed to think about life as duty. Like your life is a dutiful one. Your job is to be strong. Your job is to be, I don't know, what is it? What's a man's job? I don't know.
Be grumpy.
To be grumpy. I feel like it's your job to be this like almost robotic statue of a person that you are on task and you are working constantly. And when you're not working, you're thinking about work to be done. And that like leisure and relaxing and enjoying life and feeling connected, those are completely outside of this idea of like you are a work machine. And I think that is part of why it's just difficult to get connected. Like, how are we supposed to be connected? What, I don't know, supposed.
Mhm.
Just like what are we living this life for when you realize that like, oh, I've been like trying really hard to develop my work life and work has been my number one priority and being as strong as possible. And then you realize that like, oh, I spent like 30 years working for someone for them to get rich and I'm miserable and completely disconnected and I have no friend and I don't even know how to enjoy nature or to be outside or to listen to a song and enjoy it. I'm just you get to where you're so disconnected from the world that you don't even know what it means to be connected. And that's where you have men feeling very isolated. They're like, I don't know what living, what feeling, what existing in a community or in nature, what any of that means, because no one's ever talked to me about being connected.
Wow, I've heard something like that before from my husband, actually, or it reminds me of something that he once said. When we were taking a walk, and he said, I just remembered how I was little and I would like enjoy this forest. Like I would enjoy running around in the forest so much. And it feels like when we are older, we don't have this perception anymore. Like we just don't, or we don't have a perception anymore. We don't actually perceive things. We don't take in the surrounding, the forest in that case. And it reminded me of what you said about just experiencing, perceiving things and just like be in their presence, which would mean just feel them. Like as a human, you would just feel the experience of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's something where I remember when I was a kid, I would go hunting with my dad, but my dad was not a hunter. And I didn't really care that much about killing deer. And so neither of us really cared about hunting, but he felt like, a dad and his sons are supposed to go hunting together. So we're going to go hunting. We got guns and we went to go hunt deer. We never killed anything.
Yay.
We never shot a deer, but we would get up at 5 in the morning and we would go out into the wilderness, walk around in the woods with guns. And but and looking back, I'm like, we went on hikes.
Right.
We went hiking.
You went on
And it was
hike.
so lovely. I loved getting up early and just like getting up before the sun comes up, going outside. We'd walk around on all these trails, and I was way too loud to see any deer. And realizing that like, oh, that's what we were actually having a really nice time in nature, exploring nature. It's weird that we had guns.
But we just don't ask. Yeah.
But even with like because we were hunting, we were looking for something specific. We were looking
Right.
for deer. So we would always be scanning. We would be
Hmm.
looking at the trail. We'd be looking for signs of deer being there. So it really puts you in that moment of like we are looking around and really taking in our environment and existing in that environment. But it just because it made it a manly activity because we were.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I do with my son is like photography. And then there's also I have bonsai trees, little trees. And in bonsai, sometimes you can go out into the woods and collect trees from the woods. So every February before the trees wake up, we can go out into here near where we live. There's the Mark Twain Forest, and you are allowed to harvest it's 2 or 3 trees per year per person from the forest.
Wow.
And so it's a lot like hunting, but you're going through the woods and you're looking for small trees on the forest floor.
Oh.
Um, and then our whole family has gotten into film photography this last year. And I think that helps you really look at nature and look at your surroundings differently because you're looking at the way light falls. You're looking for things that are serene. But even if you're going hiking all day with a film camera, you have 36 pictures on a roll of film. So you can't really just sit and take pictures and be looking and there's not really even a screen. Your viewfinder, you're actually seeing nature instead
Oh,
of
wow.
seeing an image of nature. So yeah, I found that is helpful in getting us all really just like focused on our surroundings and looking at what's around us. So my son, he loves his camera, and I think he looks so cute with his old like film camera from the 80s
Hmm.
that he loves it. He loves like learning how to set the lighting and all of that stuff. So I think sometimes those activities, those kinds of things can be really good. Strangely, hunting is a way that men will bond and connect and be in nature and feel connected. There's a reason that a lot of the manliest presenting men that I know like to go hunting together. They go on these week-long hunting trips. Really, they are getting connected to nature, feeling together, but just doing that on its own sometimes doesn't seem like a manly enough activity, so they have to kill something.
Yeah. Or say they're going to kill
Or
something. Yeah.
say they're going to kill something.
Oh, that's awesome. I really love the idea with the camera and photography, like you're shooting differently, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. As kids, we naturally engage with things for the first time because we literally engage with things for the first time. So everything's like wow and nature. And then like 30 years later, it's like, oh, tree. Yeah, yeah, I know that. I'll stay in my head and overthink my life instead of looking at this tree right now.
Yeah. Well, I think we also just forget to slow down. I think something that I've realized a lot lately is that AI is replacing all kinds of but when I think about my life, the way I live my life, AI can't replace much of what I do. Obviously, making videos online, all of this stuff, AI can do whatever. But like most of what I spend my day doing, like today, I'm working on this. I'm restoring this guitar.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
my project I'm working on today. And I'm like, doing things like this, AI can't replace this. It's real. It's something real. I
Hmm.
think all of the things that I got picked on for when I was young are the things that AI can't replace. Doing theater, doing choir, in-person performances, real painting and art that is three-dimensional, that has texture. AI can't do those things. Any of these like in-person things, a lot of the artwork that I do is community-based art. And so I spend a lot of time dyeing fabrics, dyeing yarn, making watercolors, doing art workshops together. AI can't replace those things. And I think that's where I'm reflecting a lot on how much of what we do in society is a little bit disconnected from reality already. Like it should not be that easy for AI to replace any of. And if AI can replace every aspect of your life, every single thing that you do, then you're pretty far removed from the world around you. That it might be time to try something new that requires you to use your hands, that requires you to touch and feel and be grounded to the world around you. It used to be people would sit around and they would whittle. They would just like whittle little trinkets out of wood. Or obviously knitting and crocheting are obvious ones, things that you just sit and do with your hands. But it was really common for men to sit on their porch and whittle. And I remember as a kid, I would take a stick and a pocket knife and just carve the stick, and sometimes just shaving the bark off of the stick. It's just like an activity, something that you're doing with your hands that is real and grounding. And I think that's where we are. I think there's going to be a big push for people to do more of these grounding activities as AI replaces more things. People having this realization of like, oh, I already felt disconnected and I already didn't know how I was supposed to fit into the world. And now I just fit less
Yeah.
because so much of what I do is on a screen. So much of what I do is completely disconnected from any kind of in-person interaction.
And whatever you are doing then as a human being, it will always be different than any other thing that anybody else does or that an AI even does, or it doesn't like every piece of art or every product, quote unquote, you are creating will always stand out because we are not able to create mathematically accurate copies all the time. Like we will always make something that's unique. And that's something like of course we can program AI and say like but like make it stick out and stuff, but it's always still different. It's always still there's still mathematical precision behind it. So actually our human imperfection, but also self-expression, raw and pure self-expression at the same time creates unique art that's irreplaceable. And that's so beautiful that you just mentioned that because it also takes the pressure off the entire AI topic. Like, oh my God, my art will be replaced. No, it won't.
Well, and that's where I think so many people now, a lot of artists make art for social media. And so paintings that you make, the things that you build, it's less about the painting itself as it is about how will this painting be spread on social media. Sometimes it's getting the right videos of you making the art that are going to spread on social media. That I think a lot of artwork looks different before and after social media because there is a push for artists to be working on their digital footprint. And in-person art shows have not been as well attended recently as they have been in the past. A lot of galleries are shutting down. A lot of galleries, people aren't buying art for their homes. Something I did notice that during the shutdown, during COVID, a lot of people bought painting.
Hmm.
It was actually a good time for artists because a lot of people whose jobs switched to online. They didn't lose any income, but they got some of that stimulus money, bought art with it. I think a lot of people started working from home and they're like, wow, my walls are bland. I don't have anything beautiful in my home. I want art.
Yeah.
I want to fill this space with unique and interesting things, with one of a kind object, with something that's special, with something that is unique to me. And I think that is something there will always be space for.
100%. Yeah, I mean, art is the probably highest form of self-expression, or it is the direct art is the direct expression of our self-expression, of our emotions, of what we feel. And sometimes I think it's hard to channel that, or it's hard to connect to this emotion that will actually translate itself into something physical. And I think that many men seem to have a problem opening up to themselves, not even like talking about their emotions to other people, but just find this place of connection, where they can just create something with the emotions that they have. Do you have a tip for them?
For wanting to, people who just want to feel connected and want to,
Want to let their emotions kind of come through after bottling them up for so long.
I mean, that's a big question. It's going to look different for everyone. I
Hmm.
think some of that is learning to feel your feelings first. I think just giving yourself permission to feel your feelings. That there is a broad range of feelings, more than anger and frustration and joy. I feel like those are like these polar ideas of feelings acceptable for men. You can be happy or angry, and I think just like sitting for a bit and be like, man, I feel a whole range of emotions. I feel sad. I feel alone. I feel homesick. I feel nostalgic. I feel love. I feel part of something bigger. I feel accomplished. I feel successful, not necessarily in the ways that my parents thought success looked like, but in that I achieved something I wanted to achieve, and that we can allow ourselves to feel all of those feelings and really focus, even if you need to focus on one feeling at a time, that wanting to think about like, okay, I really want to feel connected. I really want to feel grounded. I want to feel calm in the space that I'm in. And how can I feel calm? And how can I feel pleasant in my own body, in my own skin, in my own space? And I think some of that is then, okay, well, what makes me feel calm?
Hmm.
Uh, Sometimes it can be sitting under a tree. I love sitting under a tree, but for me, I find the thing that makes me mo feel the most calm is just doing some kind of task, just doing something where my hands are moving, where I can put all of my focus on something that I can put energy into that kind of just forces me to stop and sit in the space and slow down. And I think that's going to look different for everyone.
Hmm.
What is it that makes you feel comfortable? What is it that slows you down? And what is it that helps you reflect? For some people, it's writing in a journal. For some people, it is sketching in a sketchbook. For some people, it's whittling. And for some people, it's just sitting in silence. I think that's something that I think we need to get away from the idea that it's uncomfortable just to sit in silence. Because I remember my wife and I, when we served in the Peace Corps, we went to Rwanda, and sometimes people will just sit. Like sometimes people will just sit in the living room. No one's really talking. Everyone's just kind of resting, just sitting. And when we first moved there, it was very strange. It felt very weird to just be sitting in a silent room with everyone. But there, that's not that strange. That like, why do we feel so uncomfortable to just sit and exist? And I think that is where I think the advice I would give is just give yourself permission to exist as you
Hmm.
are. And that like you don't have to be doing something all the time. You don't have to be meeting someone's expectation of what you're supposed to be. You don't have to be meeting someone else's expectation for how many hours you should work, how serious you need to be, how you need to look, how you need to feel, how early you need to get up, any of this stuff. It is okay to just exist
Wow.
and to allow yourself to just be. And sometimes, even as an act of protest, to just do nothing for a little while, even if it's just like, I'm going to take 20 minutes of my day and I'm going to do nothing. That can be its own act of protest. That, like, I'm going to do nothing but feel my body, but to feel my feelings, to think about how I feel. To think about what I want my life to be like, to think about who I am, which I guess that's not doing nothing, but
Yeah, that's
uh, but giving yourself permission to sit and reflect.
Yeah, take up space just by existing. I love that. And I also love what you said earlier about if we don't feel things, if we just don't feel our emotions and don't feel the sensations, what are we even doing here? Like, what's even the point of life? And I think that's exactly the core question. And I think that's probably the conflict that we are facing, and especially men are probably facing the conflict between if I'm not feeling all that, why am I even here? But also that they are not giving themselves permission to feel because feeling is bad. So it's like I'm not allowed to feel these things. And on the other hand, if I'm not feeling these things, why am I even here?
Yeah, well, and then what makes us human? Like as humans, we are different than any of the other animals on Earth because look at all the weird things we've done to the planet. Like we are we're obviously different in some way, but like what are the things that make
Yeah.
us what are the things that make us human? And I feel like a lot of men aren't concerned with being human. I think a lot of men are like, "Oh, I'm going to be an alpha wolf. I'm going to be a lion. I'm going to be this wild beast of a man." And I'm like, well, there's plenty of animals out there. There are plenty, like wolves are doing fine. They don't need your help. They don't need you to make an ad campaign for them. You could be a man, be human. Like, what do humans do? Like, and sure, wolves have packs and things, and it's all so strange that like humans communicate really well. Humans talk to each other. Humans have abstract thought. Humans can analyze and express very complex emotions. Those are things that most animals cannot do. Those are things that make us human. So if you're not doing those things, like if you're rejecting that you're allowed to do those things, like the ability to feel a bunch of different emotions at the same time and separate them out and analyze them and express them. That's a really cool thing to be able to do. We're able to do some really amazing things. To just say, no, that's not manly. It's not manly to analyze my emotions, separate them out, understand them, express them, and address them adequately in a safe and healthy way. Like that's not manly. Like those are that's what makes us human.
Yeah, if you're not doing these things, you're kind of missing the point.
Right.
Mm. Why are you trying to copy a wolf? Right? Yeah.
Like I mean, wolves are cool, but like we're we're not them.
Well, some people are into stuff like that, you know, they pretend that they are like an animal and stuff. So I don't know where this is going
But then
currently.
when you look at people that like here in St. Louis, there's a wolf sanctuary, like an hour outside of the city. When you look at the people that actually work at the wolf sanctuary, that they work with wolves every day. They
Hmm.
go outside and they interact with wolves all the time. They're outdoorsy in the best way. The wolf sanctuary workers, they're outside every day. They're in nature. They don't think of wolves that way.
That's
They're like wolves are so smart. Wolves have complex feelings.
why can't you? Right.
Like there are people who are very grounded in nature and care a lot about feeling connected. And like they often are people that they care more for those wolves.
Mm.
They're better take caretakers for those wolves than a lot of men are for their own family.
Yeah.
And because they are very emotionally connected to the wolves that they care for. And I think that's where, like, that's the ultimate effect of this complete disengagement. That when you have disengaged from your own emotions, when you've disengaged from activities, when you've disengaged from the world around you, then you are also disengaging from your kid, you're disengaging from your wife, you're disengaging from your friends, and you're just not present in the way that would satisfy you. Like, you would be happier if you were more present, if
Hmm.
you were more connected, if you were more grounded, and you were like able to just really connect and feel bonded to the people around you. Like I that makes me happy. I'm happier when I feel more connected to my wife. I'm happier when I feel more connected to my son. And I know that I feel more connected to them when I am more emotionally connected to myself, when I understand myself better, when I am happier and when I am connecting with them emotionally and I am addressing their feelings and I am addressing their needs and my needs all at the same time, that's when I feel happiest, when I feel connected.
Hmm.
I think that's where somewhere along the way we lost the plot. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that that's the point. Somewhere along the way, we got it in our heads that our families are and
Mhm.
that we're men and we are in charge and we are important and
Yeah.
everyone else needs to serve us or something. And it's us versus them. A lot of couples feel like they are each other's competition, that like I need to get out of my wife what I can get out of her, and she's trying to get out of me what she needs to get out of me. And so it's this battle to like not give too much and to take as much as you.
Right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but that's actually super true. This is the advertising you're getting from 90% of the influencers, or is it just the content that I get, or that's the most dominant? I don't know. But like everyone's talking about how you can basically protect yourself and your own interests while taking as much from the other person as possible. And if you talk about it, if you address it, you will see a comment section full of men who will say it's the women, they started, or they are the bad ones, or vice versa. But mostly I have men who will be like upset in my comments, maybe because I'm the opposite. So maybe that's the reason for it. I don't know. I just think it's like so wild that it's basically like in kindergarten. For me, these conversations are like among almost toddlers who are like, he started, she started, and give me that. And this is basically what I hear all the time, but that's not adult or at least mature behavior.
Right. And it at some point you have to shift your mindset into realizing that like when you're in a relationship, it is cooperative. That like it's kind of like we like board games, like tabletop games, and there are tabletop games that you're like you want to win, like Monopoly.
Mhm.
You want to win Monopoly. I hate that game. It's
Yeah.
terrible. But then like when you realize there's collaborative game where either everyone wins or everyone loses. And relationships are a collaborative where you can't win. You can't win a relationship because that means that someone else is losing. And
Yeah.
if your partner or your spouse is losing, well then your relationship is losing. Like you either are both winning or you're both losing.
Yeah.
And I feel like until you see it that way, you're not going to have healthy relationships until both partners are actively engaged in the relationship and see that like we're either both going to be successful or we're both going to fail. There is no, I'm going to do great. I'm going to get what I want and what I need out of this relationship. And, but you, like, who cares what you get?
Right.
That's never going to work. That's never going to work.
Right. And if you zoom out of it, out of the personal relationship to our relationships, like between men and women in general, I think that's a very interesting point. It applies just in the same way because men kind of think if they win, automatically it means women lose, or they have to make women lose in order to win, and vice versa. Women are also like hopping on this train a bit, like, okay, so we need to win right now. Doesn't matter what's going on with you. And it's like, actually, one side will never win if the other one loses. It's always like both need to win. Otherwise, we don't have healthy relationships or connections or even communication with each other. And if like 50% of the population is not talking with the other one and is like at war, nobody is winning at all. Like maybe you are securing your finances, but what does it matter if it doesn't improve your life quality that you have more finances, but you don't feel happy about it? You haven't improved your life quality at all.
Right. Well, and I feel like that's a good approach to all relationships. Like relationships with your kids. Either you're both winning or you're both losing. Like you can't have what you want out of your kids and then them not get what they want out of you and the relationship's gonna like you both need to be building each other up. You're part of the same family. You're all on the same team. Friendships, even your interaction with society as a whole. I think that's kind of what we're seeing. That it's like as men, it's very much like a competition against each other to see who can be the most manly. Versus like we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to be happy people and be successful. And for us to do that, it actually would be really help if we would all be on the same team. That we all are going to be happier or we're all going to be sad. And that I think for me, I approach all of my friendships and relationships that way. Like if I have a friend, well, I'm not trying to win in my friendship. I'm not trying to beat them at friendship. No, we're both we're both contributing to that friendship and building it up and strengthening it. And then we both win. And but if I do have these interactions with people that they're like, I'm gonna be more than you.
Yeah.
You're less of a man. And when I see that, I'm like, they think that our relationship is one of competition. Like when I have random people on the internet that are like, you're not a man because you paint your nails, whatever. Whenever I get those comments, they think we're competing. They think we are against each other. And I'm like, well, I'm not in competition with you. I'm not trying to be manlier than I am. I'm not trying to be manlier than you. I don't care. And so I don't care to interact with people who don't want us both to succeed. If you
Mhm.
want to succeed, and if you think that you succeeding means I have to fail, if you think that you being manly means that the activities that I do have to be considered feminine, then I just don't want to interact with you at all.
Yeah.
Like that's not the relationship that I have with society.
Ha
I like symbiotic relationships, not parasitic.
All right. Have you ever talked back to a troll, or did you ever have a conversation with someone to understand their mind?
Oh yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, more so in person than I do online. Mostly I ignore all of the things online, but for the most part it's just like usually I get a lot of flack for painting my nails, and usually I'm just like it's color.
Hmm.
Color. It's not very scary. It's not so serious. It's just I don't understand why people don't like colors. I don't know. I engage sometime, but
Hmm.
for the most part, it's not worth it
Yeah.
because it isn't really about my nails. It isn't really about my activities. It isn't really about the way I talk, sit, or stand, or the things that I do. That's not really what it's about. It's really just about their insecurities. It's really about them wanting to feel like they have something that I don't. And really, it's because they think that if I have something they don't have, then they're like, well, am I losing?
Right.
They
Yeah.
see, oh, this guy lives his life this way and seems successful and happy, and he seems genuinely joyful. Does he have something I don't have? Is he winning? And it's just
It's the
like
nail color. It's the nail polish.
it's the nail polish. Nail polish makes you win every time.
Right.
But that's where it's like, no one is winning.
Yeah.
No one is winning. We either all win or we all lose.
Yeah. What would you say is the most common hate comment?
Usually when I'm like talking about relationships, talking about something, and the number one comment that I get is someone saying, I saw your nail color and didn't listen to anything else you said. You
Oh
told
my
me
God.
everything I needed to know about your opinion. And I'm just like,
What?
okay. So I get you really don't want to listen to what I have to say anyway. uh I think that's the number one comment that I get. But then it's just like people will completely ignore everything else. They will see one thing that they're like, this is outside of what I think is normal, and I will ignore every other aspect. They'll see my nails painted. They don't care that I know how to build a house or work on cars, that I built my motorcycle. They don't care that I've been married for 17 years. They
Mm.
don't care that I'm a father. They don't care that I was a foster parent or a Peace Corps volunteer. They don't care about any of that. As soon as they're like, oh, but he paints his nails, all of that meaning.
Yeah, but I love that you're doing it now even more because it's like, you're not fulfilling their expectation towards classical, a very narrow picture of whatever they think what an alpha alpha male is. And yet you are happy, like you show up as someone who's happy, who does all the things that he enjoys. And I think probably it is then threatening to these people who try to do everything by the playbook, who try to like, put a check after every single action and be super manly and nothing works.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where it is one of those things where the harder you try to be something you're not, the farther you are from that thing almost.
Right.
Like, the harder you try to be, I don't know, manly, the harder you try to be manly, the more you just like get sad, I think.
Hmm.
I think sometimes, well, and it all comes down to a lot of people are talk about like what women want, that like women want this manly, rugged man, that it's like maybe a lot of them do. A lot of women like a rugged, get your hands dirty, chopped wood man. A lot of women like that. There's also a lot of women that like snuggly, sweater wearing, sit on the couch with a cat man. Like women like a lot of different things,
And
but I think
businessmen. for example, who's neither of those or whatever. Yeah.
A businessman, everything in between. Women like all kinds of men. There are women who really love video games and want to play video games with a man. There are women who love all kinds of things. But I think what you find is that people really like when you are genuine
Yes.
and yourself. No one likes when they're like, this is a really rugged man. That's what I like. I'm going to pursue this man. And then you realize, oh, they were pretending and they were trying to present themselves in that way. But when you get to know them, you realize it's all pretend. It's all an act. And I think you have that in both directions. I think you have men who pretend to be a lot more feminine than they naturally are. I think you have men who pretend to be more connected in these traditionally female activities because they're like, this is what women like now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of men that are just chasing out what women like, what they think women like. And in reality, if you can become mentally and emotionally healthy and stable, then there's probably people out there who like you
Yeah.
the way you are. But most people do find mental stability and emotional health attractive.
Yes.
And like I think once you get to where you are like, I am comfortable in my skin and I love the person that I am, I feel connected, I have a lot of activities that bring me joy, that's attractive.
Mm-hmm.
People like that. Not just for dating, but for just friendship, for community, for everything. That when you're being more authentic and being true to yourself, the people that you will attract to you, the people that will connect with you, are the people that like who you are. But the more you're trying to be someone that you're not, the more you'll attract people who like someone that you're not.
Not.
And that's never gonna work. It's never gonna feel good. At some point, they're gonna realize you're not that person, and they're gonna be like, well, that's not what I wanted anyway. That's not
Right. Yeah. What would you say are your core values?
my core values, just in general. I think my core values, I think number one is being as genuine as possible,
Yeah, I figured.
and being
Yeah.
being authentic,
Yeah.
being my authentic self, and trying to just be myself in every space that I'm in.
Would have been my guess that you would come up with authenticity because yeah, and why I'm asking this is because of how people approach relationships, that they usually don't come from a place of common values, but from a place of what you said earlier, like what can I get from this relationship? How can I, just get something out of this person, or how can I be less alone, or whatever the interest might be. So the primary interest is not do we have something in common, which is like, for example, a core value, which could be authenticity or whatever it is for somebody else. But that's why I basically asked, because if you then match with your wife and she also likes authenticity and she shows up authentically, then that's a match made in heaven and not like whatever the hell people are doing right now.
My wife absolutely loves authenticity. She would tolerate nothing less. And like if she gets just the inkling that I'm being inauthentic, it's she hates it. There's been a few times because I've been making videos for the last 3 or 4 years, 3 years. And anytime I make a video that she's like, this one spot in the video, I didn't like that. That didn't seem like you. That you need to take that video down. It made
I love that. Yeah.
that like not okay.
Mhm.
That like but that's something she prioritizes quite a lot. And I think that some of that comes from her upbringing being around a lot of fake authenticity, which is, I guess, inauthenticity. People pretending to be more noble than they are.
Yeah.
And that she doesn't have a lot of patience for people that are pretending to be something that they're not. And but also her valuing authenticity is fantastic for me. I feel very free to be myself in every way. That like, and that's one of the things that for me, it's like there's a lot of people who want to paint their nails. I have men that talk to me about, send me a lot of private messages saying like, I would love to, but I just can't handle the ridicule. I'd love to wear brighter colors. I'd love to wear flowery sweaters, but I can't handle the ridicule from. I'd like to be more soft. I'd like my authentic self is softer, but people make fun of me and I just can't handle that. And that's really hard. That's a hard space to be in.
Hmm.
What it is helpful for me that my wife loves me being authentic.
Yeah.
So even if everyone hates me for something that I do, I don't really care as long as my wife likes it. And so that makes it a lot easier for me to ignore the way that people hate. And but not everyone can do that. I think not everyone is in a space where they can just ignore what people think.
Yeah, because you have your support system. Not everyone has. Also, I think you probably did a lot to come to a point where you have a support system. So you would probably already show up in a more authentic way to attract these kind of people who would function as support systems later on, because otherwise you wouldn't have found each other. So you already took the more uncomfortable and risky part by being yourself initially.
Yeah, well, and I've always been someone who hasn't cared that much
Hmm.
about what people think of me. Some of that comes from my dad was a musician. He played the guitar and sang. He did theater. I come from a theater family,
Hmm.
a theater and music family, and so that kind of helps. That like my dad was one of my biggest role models growing up. That I'm like, if people are going to judge me for doing the things my dad does, well, then they just don't know.
All right. Awesome.
Then their thoughts aren't that valid to me. And so I think that's where I've always been a little bit bold in that way that I've never cared that much what people think. And but I do think sometimes you need to build that support system before you're ready to be yourself publicly.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes you need those people in place that are with you no matter what. And finding those people can be hard. Like finding the people that you know love you when you are your authentic self is so important. But to find them, you have to show people who you are. And I think that can be a big challenge. But once you have that support system, then it's a lot easier to be like, I don't care what people outside of this support system think of me.
Yeah, yeah. And we are running out of time, so I just wanna add one thing to that, to people who feel insecure about like their appearances and makeup and clothes and all that stuff. Like I'm from Europe and I love heavy metal, yeah, and you can never wear more makeup than those guys. Like that's just impossible. It's impossible to say that they are not manly. Like that's something that I always have in mind when people are like, oh, makeup here, clothes there. Like look at 80s, like rock stars from the 80s who were full of makeup and who had tons of female groupies, or like nowadays like Finnish death metal bands. There's no woman on this planet who wears more makeup. What the heck?
Well, and even having like when you think of like the 60s and 70s, the music scene and culture and like the hippie movement, all of that, everyone for a while was much more relaxed about clothing, about patterns, about colors, about posturing and manliness. And I think a lot of those things got blurred then. And I think there was a cultural response to that in the 80s, kind of like we need to get back to family values. And family values were everyone fitting into these cookie cutter roles. But even when I think back of like Freddie Mercury,
Yeah, yeah,
incredible,
yeah.
incredible singer. Like Freddie Mercury, like people are always like, you're not a man. People call me gay all of the time. Like Freddie Mercury, like I don't think anyone's gonna argue that Freddie Mercury wasn't a real man.
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
Freddie Mercury he was he was like he had a presence to him that is very difficult to explain, not the norm. He was
No.
very much outside of this cookie cutter what a person is supposed to look like or stand like or dance like or sing like. But like if Freddie Mercury cared what people thought of him, if he tried to be someone he wasn't, then we wouldn't have the music that we have. He wouldn't be the enigma that he is. Like,
Hmm.
I think we all benefited because Freddie Mercury was himself.
Right. Yeah. Or Axl Rose. Or like, yeah.
Axl Rose, yeah.
All these guys. Yeah. Cool. Oh my God. Thank you for this awesome conversation. I really enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you. You're very inspiring. I will also link your work in the description of the YouTube video once I publish it. I'll do some more research on your art and also on the video that you mentioned previously about your mom. Now I'm really excited. I want to see it.
Yeah, I don't post much of my art.
Hmm.
I've decided I just want to do in-person art shows just because online online art and having it digitized, all of that, you just don't get the
Mm.
same impact. Especially, I like making larger paintings. I can show you what I'm working on right now. I have
Oh,
it in my
yeah.
studio. That
Oh, wow.
it's like 6 feet tall and
Oh, my
9 feet
God.
wide.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And so when I'm working on something like that, it's like it's a lot. It has a huge impact when you see it and when you're
Mhm.
in the face with it, but then everyone sees it on a screen this big. It just doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't have a lot of my artwork on the internet. I haven't really posted artwork online since like 20.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but people can buy it or then they come somewhere.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Well, I work on commissions and I don't really advertise my art
Mhm.
commissions, mostly because I don't run out of.
Okay. Yeah.
So I tend to always have consistent work. I've been doing a lot of work for banks and hospitals and offices because it
Awesome.
pays well
Hmm.
and consistently, and it's always big works. I've been doing a lot of cityscapes of St. Louis. And then so when I do have time that I'm not working on corporate commissions, I prefer to work on my own paintings that I'm working on.
Hmm.
So I don't really advertise my art.
Okay. No, no problem. And I'll advertise your content.
I might be the only artist I know of that is not actively trying to sell artwork.
Right. Thank you for the amazing conversation. That was really, really cool. And thank you for having time for me today.
Yeah, of course. This was so fun. It was so nice to meet you.
It was very nice to meet you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.